funny, I confess. You most certainly, you have my full permission to use it any way you want.
Okay.
Well, our focus has always been educating the American people about what's really going on in the world. We realized, the three co-founders, Kirsten Moeller, Medea Benjamin, my wife, and myself, realized a long time ago that, and this was through our travels in Africa, Asia, Latin America, we realized that there was an incredible disjuncture between what was really going on in the world and what the American people thought was going on in the world, largely because of corporate media not informing them correctly and politicians directly lying. They can't go to the American people saying, hey, we're supporting sweatshops in third world countries and we're supporting apartheid because it's very profitable for our big corporations, and that's why we have to have hundreds of military bases outside the United States. So they have to make up lies about we're protecting the American people from communism. Now it's we're protecting you from Islamic terrorism. So we saw our main mission to be educating the American people about what's really going on in the world. So we do that through reality tours where we take people out to other countries, about 30 or 40 different countries around the world, with a kind of reverse Club Med approach. Get your butt off the beach, meet real people, see development projects, literacy campaigns, grassroots, bottom-up, women's groups, political opposition parties, labor unions, etc., and get a real sense of what's going on in Iran or Venezuela. We used to go to Iraq, we can't go to Iraq now, Afghanistan, South Africa, Brazil, Vietnam, India, and then give people tools so that when they come back, they're able to educate people. How do you organize a house party? How do you get a letter to the editor published? How do you write an op-ed? How do you organize a demonstration? All freely downloadable off our website, globalexchange.org. And so that's one thing, is the reality tours. We have fair trade stores where we sell craft products made by third world groups that they don't want charity, they want a market for their products. And because we're a nonprofit, we can sell their products here, send them the profits, and they develop their own bootstraps, so to speak. When did we start? We started in 1988. We're having our 20th anniversary, September 2008. Actually, we had three groups originally. One was called Africa Exchange, one was called Caribbean Exchange, and one was called Central America Exchange. And we were educating people about those areas, and then I said, wait a minute, why don't we combine these three small groups and call it Global Exchange? So I'll take credit for that. It's not Global Sex Change, it's Global Exchange. And we started with just the three of us. The first trip we did was to Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and then we just started growing from there. We started doing trips to Cuba. We started publishing books. We opened our first store in our second year, 1989. There were friends of ours who had a store in San Francisco that was selling craft products made in Central America by these grassroots groups. And they were going out of business. They were not making money, and they said, you want to buy this store from us? So we bought it from them, and we expanded to, not just Central America crafts, but Africa, Asia, Latin America, all over. And that store then provided the base for a store in Berkeley, a store in Portland. Now we're opening stores in Washington, D.C. We have an online store. So we're kind of unique as a nonprofit in that we use enterprise as a methodology for probably 80 or 90%. Less than 10% of our budget is foundation money. Most nonprofits are getting most of their money from foundations. We get less than 10% of our budget from foundations, and we use that as sort of startup capital to start new projects. But when we create those projects, we try to have each one have a revenue component. It's education and revenue. So the book publishing, like my new book, Building the Green Economy, Success Stories from the Grassroots, has to make money. The reality tours have to make money. Each store has to pay for itself. Each green festival has to pay for itself. All of the events we do, everything is supposed to pay for itself, so that we've got a lot of different pods that are semi-independent in terms of their revenue base, but it's all united under one brand, Global Exchange, and one centralized leadership, one board of directors, one executive director, etc. So it gives us a lot of different ways to bring people in, because somebody that would go into one of our stores might not read one of my books. Somebody that would come to the Green Festival might not go on a trip to South Africa. So it gives you a lot of diverse ways to bring people into the organization. Biggest problem in the world today is right here in between people's ears. It's a lack of caring and a lack of concern, a lack of compassion, a lack of what I would call true love, real love. Real love is not the Ingmar Bergman, two people creating a little island of happiness in a sea of misery, and they paddle off in their canoe, kissing into the sunset. Real love is about feeling connected to every living thing on the face of the earth. I think if you look at the great spiritual leaders, Buddha, Jesus, Dr. King, Mahatma Gandhi, these were people who were trying to convince people that unconditional love, loving even your enemy, even somebody who is against you, even loving them, that's in your own self-interest. What we're finding now, because science and spirituality are starting to come together, is that when I do an act of kindness to you, your serotonin levels go up, my serotonin levels go up. Anyone who observes that act of kindness, their serotonin levels go up. Serotonin is one of the chemicals in your body, like DHEA, immunoglobulin B, oxytocin, testosterone, all these chemicals you have in your body that have a positive effect, adrenaline, whatever. You know, you hear the cases where the woman's kid was trapped under a car and she lifted the car off the kid or something. That was from that shot of adrenaline. So we have the ability in our own bodies to produce chemicals that are self-healing. So we are now learning that being generous of spirit and being compassionate toward others is in my own self-interest. That even if I didn't care about other people, I would be nice to people because it's good for me. You know the thing about women gossiping over the backyard fence. It turns out when women talk to each other, their oxytocin levels go up. And oxytocin is better than any drug that the pharmacy companies could produce. It creates this healthful impact on your body. So we're starting to see the merging of science and spirituality. So in a sense, you've got two spiritual approaches out in the world right now. One is based on them, right? Them, the terrorists, the bad guys, the Muslims, whatever. We got to get them. The other has no them. It says, no, it's just us. And if you say just us, just us, just us, justice, just us, just us, sounds a lot like justice. If you want to have justice in the world, then you need a philosophy of it's just us. There is no them. So I keep saying to people, if your ideology, if your politics has a them in it, you probably want to keep working on it until you get to a more spiritually evolved place where there is no them. It's just us. Because it's too easy to put a label on some group of people, export all of your weaknesses and problems on them and say, if we could just get rid of them, everything would be fine. That's what the Republicans are running on. And that's what Barack Obama is, in a sense, fighting. He's saying, no, there's not a white America and a black America. There's the United States of America. There's not a left America and a right America. There's the United States of America. So that message of unity and let's work together, I think eventually is going to prevail.